Hello, welcome to my Shabby Chic card. I've created these beautiful blossoms because spring is coming in our garden. I've used the Assorted Memories and More cards pack and envelopes, and you get different sorted sizes of pre-made cut scored cards. This is the largest one, slightly bigger than our Australian standard, excuse me, but I love it. I've made 2 layers to go over the top, which the first layer measures about 5 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch. And the second layer is 5 1/2 by 3 1/2 inches, just in case you want to use those Assorted Memories and More cards. I've used a rounding punch, corner rounder punch. This is a retired punch now. It's called Detailed Trio. If you ever get a chance to get one that's got a corner round, grab it because they're awesome. That cuts through 2 layers of card stock, as you can see there, as I've cut the card base. Now I'm cutting the layers 1 and 2 of the basic white to match. I'm just going to adhere layer 1 onto the card base, so that is done and out the way and all ready to go for my next pieces to go on top when they're finished. So this is layer 2, which is going to be, I'm going to use Early Espresso, Pear Pizzazz, Sahara Sand and Polished Pink. Sorry, that wasn't in the right order, but that's what I'm using. I've just got Sahara Sand here and I'm going to use the Quiet Meadow font, which is a really good background stamp for Shabby Chic cards. And I'm using a technique which is called stamping off. So as you can see, I'm stamping and then continuing to just stamp over and over the paper, excuse me, until the ink has really vanished and needs to be recharging. It just gives a different depth to your background. Don't be scared to stamp over the top of existing areas that look a bit light. You can go light as dark as you like. Now I'm going to sponge the edges with a blending brush to give it a little bit of a vintage finish. I work a little bit harder in the corners just to make it look like we're naturally areas where it will naturally age. Now I'm going to just distress the edges of this piece of paper with my bone folder. If you have a distressing tool or scissors, you can do the same and get the same sort of finish. I was happy with the bone folder for this one. And just rough it up a little bit until you get the desired finish that you like. I turned in the top left-hand corner, just rolled it in slightly, and as you may or may not see, some of the fibres of the paper are actually coming apart, which is a really lovely finish and effect. Now this is a piece of cardboard, believe it or not. I do love my dimensionals and I love my foam adhesive strips, but sometimes I just want to be really quick and raise that card up, the layer up, really fast, and this is the best way that I found to do it. It's not a acid-free piece of cardboard, so this card, if it was kept for years and years, would not work. Now I've got Apple Harvest bundle, and I'm actually not stamping with the stamps, but I am using these die. So I've got the branch, the 2 flowers and the smallest stamen, excuse me, dies there. And I'm going to cut out a mix of items. I've actually cut out 3 large and 3 small of the white and 3 small black and 2 branches, and I've also used the leaf dies, which come also in that set. I believe there's 6 dies of varying sizes, and I used Granny Apple Green for that. And I'm just getting the rest out. So the colour I used for the branches was, let me remember what that was. That was soft suede, the branches. And you can see they're not symmetrical because I ran out of cardstock, would you believe? So one branch is bigger than the other. Now I've gone back to polished pink. Well, I'm using polished pink, to just give these apple blossoms touch of colour. You can go as light or dark as you like. I'm using a Sharpie pen because the end is round and it just gives that little extra push and depth into giving these flowers some dimension. And I'm working on that foam mat, which also helps. So I've just used a mini dimensional to connect the small and large petals together. Tiny bit of glue and that tiny little black stamen in the middle. You can obviously use yellow if that's the colour you prefer. I like the dramatic side of the black, the look of the black. And there's the 3 flowers that I've made with the die cuts. I'm now using Pear Pizzazz and a blending brush. Now this is a smaller blending brush. I prefer that just because it's a smaller area to colour. You can also use your dauber if you don't have a smaller brush to use. You can see that I really wanted to add extra colour here, so I've actually rubbed the leaves into the ink to get a lot of depth and difference in contrast of the leaves. I obviously have more than 6 leaves there. I must have had some extra ones from the last time I cut them. So you may want to cut some extra leaves or not. Depends on how many leaves you want to use on your card. There's no right or wrong place where I put colour on these leaves. I wanted to move them around and make them all different, as if light was bouncing off and on the leaves or the sunshine coming through the branches. I'm using the Diamond Weave ribbon, which is a beautiful woven ribbon. It's actually a very vanilla colour, but that works fine with me with this card. A little bit of tear and tape just to adhere the ribbon on. I never use glue or don't often use glue for ribbon. They're not normally really friends. It's easier with the double-sided tape. And as you can see, those 2 pieces of twig or branch work really well because it doesn't matter if they're not finished or perfect because you're not going to see half of them anyway. So one I've stuck firmly down the bottom so the stem will be exposed, the space of the stem will be seen. The middle part you won't even see because it'll have flowers and leaves around. As you can see, I'm already placing them to make sure that that gap that, as you'll see there, will not be seen. I'm making a fancy, simple, messy, shabby bow by wrapping linen thread 4 or 5 times around my 3 fingers, bunching it up in the middle, and then with a separate piece, I will tie it in the middle and like that. So I've already made one earlier, just trimming that off now, tweaking it a little bit. And you can use glue dots or your Tombow glue. I prefer to use 450 glue because it just sticks so well. I love my Tombow glue, but this seems to hold it really well and dries a little bit faster, because I'd have to use a lot of Tombow to glue that ribbon on. And as you can see, I'm just placing my 3 blossoms in a little arrangement just above that messy bow. And now it's time just to have a bit of fun and add your leaves wherever you want. And you can add them all or only a few, it's up to you. It's nice to just put glue on the very bottom of the leaf and let the top half gently lift off the page a little, off the paper a little bit, just again for that more 3D finish on your card. You can leave it like that, or you can make a stamp of sentiment. I've used a lovely stamp set called Go to Greetings. This is new to me and it's just gorgeous with all the beautiful fonts. The card is busy enough, so I didn't want to make a big sentiment, even though I love the big cursive ones. So this is a smaller one, and I think it's just a really sweet thinking of you card that can go to anyone for most occasions. And I stamped it onto crumb cake using Early Espresso. Now I'm just going to use Sahara Sand again and ink the edges of this crumb cake piece. I'm going to add a few dimensionals so it's mounted up onto the card. And didn't quite want it there. I was lucky I didn't rip any paper pulling off the dimensionals. That doesn't often happen. I moved it over a little bit, tucked it under a little bit more. And you can go back and touch up and add some more leaves if you like. I think the green really lifts the card. And the last touch was some iridescent rhinestone, basic jewels. They just give a little bit of sparkle. You could also use some glitter, or you don't have to use anything, but I just thought that was just sweet, being spring, and maybe little droplets of rain even, you know, or dew in the morning. So I just sprinkled them around. And there you have it, my loves. So thank you for watching. And that was a happy birthday one. Same, but different. Oh, and you can see on the other. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to push subscribe to see more of my video tutorials. And have a great day. Bye.